Tim Grover, who used to train LeBron and MJ and Kobe, he said to me that we all have our brilliance, our greatness, and then often connected to that and responsible for that is our dark side. That's the word he used. The thing that, becomes the
Star Wars.
The
it's
difficult.
all Star Wars.
What's your dark side?
Probably my unhealthy. There's a version of me on a competitive scale that can get dark. I'm incredibly competitive. The only place I feel like I'm dark is when I'm competing. Like, it's crazy. Moments ago, a couple hours ago, we did rock, paper, scissors tournament with our leadership team as an exercise. I lost to Peter Chun, head of platforms, the guy that talks to Snap and everything. I quickly thought, after I lost in the first 5 seconds, should I fire him? Of course, Steve, there's a little ha-ha. But if I'm being naked and authentic and transparent to this audience, thank God at 47, the wisdom years, I used to punch. If Dustin Bingham, Joe Minakawa, Glenn Curtis, Eric Rainey, can you guys all stand up and go to social media and tell everybody the following truth of what happened anytime I lost in Madden 94 in a dorm room? I would punch a hole in the wall, knowing I would have to pay a fine with my own money, but I was incapable of dealing with losing.
Why?
Because I wanted to win.
Yeah, but why?
Because it felt better than losing.
Why?
Not because of like the great place you're going with this path. Like, it's really funny. It's no different to one of the great lessons. I've gotten so weird that there's a part of me now that wants me not to buy the Jets more than buy the Jets.
I've seen this evolution.
Because I want to show the world how pumped I'm gonna be for Sarah McGee who bought it. And this is a brain fuck. But I lived my whole life saying, if I can show kids that you can go from not being able to afford a fucking jersey to buying the whole team, I can help. Now I'm starting to believe when I show the grace and happiness for someone else's accomplishment at the expense of my lifelong dream, and teach people that it was the great enjoyment to try it, that I can have a bigger impact than showing that you can do it.
That's winning in a different way, though.
In a very different way. And that's what happened with me with winning and losing. I wasn't per se trying to, listen, I am not a robot. Everyone's loaded with insecurity. I had insecurity with girls much more than business. Like, nobody was scary to me to talk to in business, but Pam Moses in high school, like, even though there was a clear indication that she had interest, that was still like, woo. Whereas I could have had a meeting with Bill Gates the next day and be like, I'll beat you, right? So we all have our places, right? Of insecurity, things of that nature. But like, when you're 5, there was just such I love competition and I'd prefer to win, right? And I prefer to win. I did not have a relationship with it from 3 to 4 to 12. Now, one thing I love, and I'm watching a lot of kids now because I have kids growing up, here's where I get interested in tenacity and self-esteem. I would lose and I liked it. So you want a dark side? I like losing. I might have cried and been pissed and wanted to do something about it, but I wanted to play again. There was almost this weird enjoyment of losing more than winning. As a matter of fact, I cheered for 4 teams growing up, as religious as I am about the Jets. The New York Yankees, the New York Rangers, the New York Knicks, and the New York Jets. To this day, I am so wildly weirded out by the fact that I love the New York Rangers and the Yankees as much as I like the Jets, but the Rangers won the Stanley Cup in 1994, and the Yankees won the World Series in 1996, and the next day, I stopped following them. For real, no bullshit. It wasn't a plan. I was 18 years old when the Rangers won the Cup. I didn't think of it as like the thing I wanted to do. I literally woke up that next September, October, when the hockey season started, and I didn't want to watch.
Why?
Now at 47, I believe my addiction is the process and the game, not the thing.
And where did that, you're clearly a unique standout person that loves to win. Where did that, was there an early moment where that was reinforced? That winning is great, Gary.
No, as a matter of fact, it was like not even like talked. This is why the 80s were epic. And more importantly, I'm joking. This is why my mom was epic. It wasn't like she was like, there was no talk of that. It was just pure DNA. I'm massively competitive. I like it. I like the game. My brother has it. My dad has it. Like, we're competitive. I think it manifests in different people, but it wasn't reinforced. It just was like innate. And I really like where I have it now at 47, which is like, I've learned how to deal with the fact that I'm not the best at everything. That's what life taught me through the years. But I really like trying. I thought about this yesterday on a random thing. I must have saw something on social. My favorite thing, one of my favorite weird tiny things that I know is gonna resonate with 2% of this audience, but please hit me up because I wanna get to know you. When I'm on a pickup basketball team of random people, like friends play pickup basketball, 5-on-5, college, high school, your buddies get together. When our team gets smoked, like 11-3 in the first game, the second that 11th point goes in, I get so hyped. When you get smoked, 11-0, 11-1, as you play pickup basketball at all? No?
We play pickup soccer.
I know. Football.
Yeah.
Proper football.
Yeah.
In basketball, and this may resonate in other sports, cricket if you're listening in India, football around the world, when we get smoked, where it's very obvious to everybody that 4 of the 5 best players are on one team, and that's why the score was 11-1. Everyone's natural inclining is to let's reshoot for new teams. Mine is this deep excitement to get the other 4 people together, looking at everybody's face and say, guys, we're immediately I'm like, we're not fucking shooting for new teams. Let's run it back. And then huddle. And I look at everybody's fucking eyes. I'm like, my friends, we're gonna win this fucking game because we're gonna outwill them, even though they are dramatically more talented. We're gonna outthink them. And most importantly, we're gonna outwill them. And when that happens, because by the way, 70% it doesn't happen. The talent is just too great. And unfortunately, we also found somebody on the other side who's talented and has will. But the feeling when you know that you are dramatically inferior and you get a group together and you out-accomplish them predominantly on will with a mix of strategy, there's something there that just gets the hairs on the back of my neck up.
Is winning associated with your own sense of self-esteem?
Definitely not. One of the things that makes me so happy is, here's a great indicator. I didn't know that until probably the last 5 years. This is the truest statement I will say on this podcast. My professional success has no currency with my heart and soul. This is where my life got really fucking crazy. You know this, you're going through an introspective moment clear in your late 20s and it's clear. So this is fun for me to tell you. I'm really in the zone. I feel like we're sitting and just having a drink. When I realized somewhere about 5 or 6 years ago, oh fuck, none of my professional accolades, net worth, exits, followers, awards, even things like being on the board of Charity Water in Pennsylvania, even when I was getting admiration for, when I realized none of my professional successes make me think it's a reflection of me or is an indicator for me or is a barometer of self-worth, it fucking took, I was already flying, it took me to the fucking stratosphere. My entire self-worth is wrapped up in the middle of this podcast when I looked at you and said, my entire self-worth is 100% predicated on people knowing the truth of how I've interacted with them.
Why does that matter?
I have a deep love for human beings. I love them. For example, back to being a little transparent, I'm a little weird with animals. I have a little bit of a level of resentment towards animals. This is something my inner circle knows. We joke, I don't hate dogs. I do hate that humans default into loving dogs with all their heart and don't do that to each other. I struggle with that. I got so damn lucky, Steve. I came out the womb. My mom talks about this a lot. Who I was in the playground at 3 years old when we first moved to America, immediately running to all the 80-year-olds and schmoozing with them. You're fucking 4. You didn't read Malcolm fucking Gladwell. You didn't listen to Garyvee. You're fucking 4. I'm fucking 4 years old and I'm going out with my Jessica Shaya, my grandfather Shaya, and I'm fucking gabbing it up with the 82-year-olds. and like desperately trying to make them laugh and smile, because a lot of them came from Russia and were sourpussed in the last stage of their life. America was fucked up when we all got here. It was a real recession in the Carter years. Queens was fucking Queens back then, not like it is now. Like it was fucking, and like I had a deep need to make these 85-year-olds smile for a second because they weren't smiling the rest of the day. It's who the fuck I am.